Hello everyone, Hopper here with another video. We're just going to take another leisurely flight again, and we're going to chop it up a little bit. So first we're going to put the aircraft in autopilot here. Now I tried to do something a little more exciting, like actually fly in an area where I'm being shot at and land on an aircraft carrier, but me talking, trying to make this video and doing all that, it was too hard because I kept messing up the video, and this is my third attempt, so maybe I might do that on another easier video, easier topic, but for right now we're just going to do a leisurely flight over the Mariana Islands. So the topic of this video is what I look for in a man that one of my female relatives bring home to meet me so I can vet them, if that makes sense. So they'll bring them to me, introduce them to me, and then sometimes they ask my opinion, sometimes I give my opinion, and sometimes I don't say anything at all. But I still observe this particular guy in any situation. So if they ever want my opinion, I'm there to give it to them. So when it comes to meeting these men or young men or whatever, one of the first things I look forward to asking them is just basic, simple questions about their life. You know, how you doing? How was your day? Blah, blah, blah. And if they can hold a simple, coherent conversation with me, telling me their name, tell me a little bit about their family, tell me a little bit about their hobbies, that's a great thing. But if I'm asking questions and I have to pull information out of them, to me that's a red flag, right? If their parents, you know, I'm a little old-fashioned, but if their parents is kind of shady to me, where they may have their pants hanging off their butt, or you know, an excessive amount of tattoos, not necessarily saying tattoos are a bad thing, but I kind of look at that as well. And what kind of tattoos? You know, are there benign, you know, tattoos, or are there gang member tattoos? So I look at those things also, because if she's or they going to be dating this man, if I suspect that there's some sort of morality issues or violence, they're not allowed in my home. So with that being said, we'll start off to what I base my criteria on. So what I've worked in the prison population for a bit, and the particular prison I worked in, it was the last stop shop for these guys. Before they're released into society, they land in this prison, and we prepare them to enter society and succeed. So at this particular prison, there were a lot of little petty rules, right? These rules were designed to trip these guys up and to see if they can follow the simple things. So there's been lots of times where the inmates come into the housing unit and they're pissed off. I got in trouble for this rule. I got in trouble for that rule. Man, that rule is stupid. And I used to tell them, you know, I know the rule is petty. You know the rule is petty. The institution also know the rule is petty. But you still have to follow the rules no matter how petty they are. And if you can follow these petty rules in a controlled environment and not have any problems, when you are released, you won't have any problems or fewer problems when trying to follow the bigger rules of society. So my suggestion to you is follow the rules. Concentrate on following the rules, and you won't have any problems when you're released. And that seemed to resonate with them. So I usually apply the same logic to vetting guys for the female women relatives. Look at the little things. Pay attention to detail. Ask small questions. Now, some of the things I look for may be petty to a female, but I'm a guy. You know, I'm a straight male. I have no dog in the fight. I'm just going to tell you my opinion, especially if you ask for it. So look for the little things, pay attention to detail, because if you do that, a lot of the bigger issues that you may run in down the road, you will avoid, because he was already eliminated from the little rules. So while I'm striking up, small talk with the guy to see how his manners are, to see if he can hold a conversation, to see if he's articulate and just a personable person, I may ask, hey, if depending on his age, what do you do for a living? You know what I mean? Usually these guys were young, so it was no problem asking them that question. And they may not have the best paying job at the time, or they're just trying to get on their feet because they're young. But my goal is to see if they have a job, see if they can hold a job, and if they're in school, kind of determine what their earning potential may be, to see if they can grow and become the father or husband, or just even a good boyfriend that my daughters deserve. So one of the early questions I may ask, hey, how are you in school? Or what do you do for a living? Now, just because a person in school doesn't make them necessarily a good mate, but it's something I try to find out. If they can balance work and school and manage their time well, that's a good quality, right? So I kind of find out that. So my stepdaughter brought a guy to the house one day, and he was an interesting fella, I would say. So he was very articulate, he looked nice and dressed nice, so he presented the part. And I said, hey, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm studying finance. And I said, oh, that's cool. You going to any school or anything? He says, no, I'm teaching myself. And there are some people that can do that, you don't necessarily have to go to college to learn the stuff. So I said, well, tell me a little bit about your finance, and what you plan on doing. He says, well, I'm going to start my own business. And I said, oh, that's cool. What will it entail? And I never really got a good answer from it. And then it descended into kind of like babble and things that didn't make any sense, and stuff that maybe prison inmates would tell you, or plebiscite talk, but it sounded impressive. So this story is a little exaggerated, but it was just as ridiculous as what he was telling me. He was saying, studying finance, I got a lot of books, I'm doing it on my own, and what I'm studying is when you study microeconomics, to be a successful finance person, you inject that microeconomics into the macroeconomic scheme of things. And when that happens, you produce this calculation, E equal MC square 4. The energy equals me putting that into the center of the universe, which basically says my BBC can inject information into the BBW and maybe sometimes the PAWG, which means that leverages my weight and ability to make money, and is really very simple on the big scheme of things. So I'm thinking to myself, this guy has fed me so much bullshit. I'm looking at my stepdaughter, and she's looking at me, and I know she's thinking to herself, boy, this dude, he kind of really messed up. But hey, I'm not here to criticize. Please, sir, continue with your explanation of how you're going to start your finance business. You have a business plan. What are you doing to get this thing off the ground? Well, sir, so he reaches into his pockets, pull out like 5 thumb drives. On this black hard drive, I have information on my website and other documentation that I deem important. And on this red thumb drive is my paperwork from my law firm, Weinstein Epstein and Finkelstein, and they're going to help me get my EIN/EAC/LLC for my business. So right now I'm just trying to save money and hustle and get it done. And before you know it, I know I'm going to be successful. And I'm really looking forward to starting these business. So he puts these thumb drives on the table and kind of shuffles them a little bit. Now, I never really understood what his finance business entailed. But after thinking it over for about a week, I came to the conclusion that he wants to find a rich person to tell them how to spend or manage their money. So in other words, he wants the rich person to give him total control over their bank account to help them manage their money. And that's as far as I got with it. Now, ladies, does that story even sound remotely believable? But women fall for that. My stepdaughter never asked me my opinion about his business. I never volunteered it, but it didn't last long anyway, which was good. Another one of my stepdaughters brought a guy home, and his nickname was Gutta. Gutta. Huh. Well, just the nickname alone is eliminating, and of course, he lived up to his nickname. So, ladies, look at that little stuff. He may have the swag, he may have the looks, he may have whatever, but you may fall for that stuff when you're young, but don't make that into a long-term relationship, and definitely don't have children by these guys. So the next thing I would look at and find out if I were a woman is how many children does he have with how many baby mamas. You'll find out that there are, I don't know, I'm speculating, you can look this up for yourself, maybe 20% of the men that have children by multiple baby mamas. And don't quote me on that statistic, but it's a fewer number of men that impregnate a lot of women, which produces a lot of fatherless and men that can't spend time with their children. So, ladies, find out his background. How many children does he have? With how many baby mamas? And if he is in that situation, does he spend time with his children? Because any good father will want to spend time with their child, right? So don't have another baby by him if he's definitely not doing what he's supposed to do with his current children, and he's not talking marriage. Don't have another child. Now, career-wise, depending on his age, who knows, he may have future plans in life to increase his earning potential, if that's what you're looking for. I mean, literally, really, if you're a woman, of course you want a man that can earn money and provide a decent lifestyle for you. For example, in the wild, the lioness doesn't go for the weakest, scrawniest lion. She goes with the lion that beat out the competition, so he can, and they look forward, and they want this particular male lion to protect the pride, right? So there's no reason why a woman should settle for just to be settling, the scrawniest, low vibrating, low character guy. And so that's why I used to tell my stepdaughters, when you look for a mate, don't look for the weak, sickly lion. Look for the strong lion, someone that can protect you and look out for you. So with that being the case, is this particular guy, is he trying to be successful and working hard to be successful, or is successful, or is he pretending to be successful? And the reason why I say that is I grew up with a guy, childhood friend. I later cut him off, and I'll tell you that story later. But he had the pick of ladies, and we're growing up since the age of 7 all the way up to about maybe in our mid-30s before I cut him off. He had women all the time. I mean, he dressed the part, he looked the part, he talked the part, and, you know, carried around a briefcase and, you know, really spit game. And the women loved it. But behind the scenes, he was really a bum. He didn't have a car. He couldn't keep a job. You know, he was always bickering and arguing or had some sort of issue. So ladies, pay attention to the little things. Is he a go-getter? Is he really a go-getter? Is he really successful? That car is he driving? Can he afford it? Is it really his? Does he even have a car? So look at that things too, because you can't be blinded by love and not observe and ask the simple questions. So next thing, does your potential mate, does he like to bicker and argue with other people or other men? Me as a man, or men, we don't sit there a lot of times and bicker and argue and debate and go on and get emotional about things. Men, which were brought up in a stable environment, will say, hey, we're going to agree to disagree. We're going to move on, right? I notice with the newer generation of men, and this includes, you know, people really close to me, males, they have to bicker and argue, have the last word, and want to debate and talk over you. It's more like female behavior. So when you're potentially talking to a future male mate, ladies, observe that. Does he disagree with you a lot? Does he bicker with you a lot? Does he dismiss what you have to say? Do not ignore those little things, because they can grow into bigger problems if you decide to develop a long-term relationship with this person. Okay, another thing I would look for is, can this man fix or is willing to fix basic things? Let's say around the house or car or a fence, who knows? But is he able, does he know the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer and a drill? I noticed a lot of the men can't fix basic things. Can't fix, you know, a leaky faucet. Can't change a tire. Don't know how to jump a battery. It's the craziest things I've seen. So a quick story I'll tell you. I received a phone call from a female relative, and she says, you know, the toilet's messing up, and I'm going to buy a new toilet. I was wondering if you can come over and install the toilet for me. Now, I don't have a problem with that. However, my thought, and I didn't tell her that, well, where's your man? Your man should have the ability or the drive or desire to fix things in his own house. Now, granted, some people aren't always mechanically inclined and they have problems with that, but we have what's called the University of YouTube. And at this University of YouTube, we can Google pretty much anything on there, and that includes installing toilets. So if this man has the ability to get to a computer, the drive to do a search on how to install a toilet, he would have figured out that toilets really aren't that hard to install. And hell, if you can pause the thing, the video, and do the toilet yourself. So no, I didn't go over and fix that toilet because I felt her man should have been able to fix the toilet. My time's too valuable for me to be fixing that toilet, and you have a man right there that's going to use it and has the ability to fix that toilet. And if he has any questions, he can give me a call and I can walk him through it. Plus, I think most women will find it sexy that a man can actually hang curtains, fix a toilet, you know, fix things that are broken in the house, because I'm assuming it makes her feel safe and that she doesn't have to spend, or they have to spend money on every little thing. So another thing is, does your potential mate or future husband, does he have a lot of bromances? Now, I can understand a guy having a few friends and having some fun. Yeah, that's normal. But if he constantly want to be out with the boys, and if you're not okay with that, then I would probably search for another potential husband or boyfriend. And you can't allow that behavior as a woman, then try to lock him down afterwards. He's just going to resent you, and you can't change a person's basic behavior. Also, if he has a lot of male friends and bromances, does he protect you, or what does he do, say, if one of those men flirt with you? Which brings me back to my childhood friend I was telling you before. So one of the reasons why I cut this guy off, and I knew him since we could barely walk, is that he came over to my house and he's flirting with my girlfriend. Now, one of the things that I will draw a red line with is, if she's my girl, you don't flirt with her. If she's my wife, you don't flirt with her. There are a gazillion other women out there. Why are you coming into my home, and you're supposed to be my friend, flirting with the woman I'm with? And I told him about it too. I can't trust a guy like that. If I can't trust you around, the woman I'm with, then we don't need to be friends. Now, you can call that bros before hoes if you want to, but for me, that's a basic line and a basic trust thing for me. Now, the girl that I was with at the time didn't find it very flattering at all. As a matter of fact, she's looking at me to say, this dude is hitting on me and he's supposed to be your friend. What are you going to do about it? My goal was to tell him how I felt, and I never wanted to see him again. He's not welcome in my home. Now, if your potential man don't protect you in that way, say I knew a woman to where they went to this party. He had a lot of friends around. One of the guy's friends came up and said, "Ooh, your friend, ooh, she got a fat ass. Turn around, baby," and blah, blah, blah. That's pure disrespect. She felt uncomfortable. The guy didn't do anything to check the other guy, right? So she told me that, hell, if he's not going to protect me from people like that, he's definitely not going to protect me from anyone else. So I had to cut him loose because I saw that as a sign of weakness. And she is totally right. Now, I told you some of these things might be petty and some might be relevant, but we're going to keep going. So, for example, does he drink a lot? Does he have a drug problem? Does he have an issue with money? So it should be obvious. If the guy has a drug problem, cut him loose. If he's an alcoholic, you probably should cut him loose. And if he has a problem with money, you probably should cut him loose. But there are a lot of women that don't. There are some women that think they can be Bob the Builder and change the guy and take on a fixer-upper. And I can pretty much guarantee you it's not going to work. A guy that can't manage his money, when you go out, he expects the female to pay for things. I went out with a couple once, and I'm not going to pay for their dinner. I'm going to pay for the dinner of the woman I'm with, right? But evidently, these two people they'd known each other for a while. So when the bill came, she reached into her purse and pulled out and paid for the bill. He looked at her. She reached into her purse, pulled it out, and paid for the bill. Now, it was kind of crazy because it wasn't her husband. I'm not sure why she's paying for things. But if you're the type of woman that want to do that stuff, then more power to you. I don't think it sets a very good example for the man. But if you meet a guy that looks at you when the bill comes, then you probably should cut him loose. Also, ladies, if you can, please do a background check. Don't go by what he says. Sometimes with the age of internet, it's real easy to do a Google search to see if this guy's been in any problems. Search the local prison registries to see if he's been incarcerated. Just do simple things to protect yourself, because if you don't do these simple things, you may find yourself in a really, really bad situation. It may just take the extra time to do your due diligence before you become emotionally and financially involved with this person. How is his relationship with his parents? Does he have a good relationship with his parents? You know, sometimes there may be a strain, but if this person doesn't have a good relationship with either parent, kind of investigate to see why. Right? How has his past relationships been? If you can find that out, why did they break up? Do you know any of his past females that he dated? It may be advisable to ask questions if you can. Does no mean no, meaning does he beg a lot? Does this person always ask for things? Is he always needy? Does he always need a car? Does he always need a ride? Does he always need money? Does he always need you to help? And if you tell him no, how does he react? Does he act like a baby? Does he get upset? Is he a man-child? So look at those items as well. It's the little things, not the big things. The saying is, it's the little things that'll get you, not the big things. Now, is this person, how was his childhood? Did he grow up did he have a traumatic childhood and he's bringing that into his adulthood? Now, you'll find that some adults, that if they had an abusive, tragic childhood, they will hide that from you until you get into a relationship with them, fall in love with them, and all of a sudden these little behavioral issues, mental health breakdowns will come out, and next thing you know, you're being Miss Bob the Builder, and you're trying as an adult to handle all another adult's problems, and you don't want to be that way. Find out his childhood. Has he been to any trauma? Is he taking any medications? Are there any mental illnesses? You want to find these things out. You want to go into this relationship knowing everything you can about this individual. So we're going to end this first video here. The next video is going to roll into abuse statistics and what you should do if you find yourself in an abusive relationship and how to handle that. This is from a male's point of view, of course, and what I've seen out in the real world and dealt with myself as far as the females in my family. So we're going to end this video here, and I will see you in the next video, part 2. Thanks.